All right, so let's talk about Marathon Digital. This is the monthly chart. And one thing to note is that Marathon Digital and other Bitcoin miners are highly correlated to the direction of Bitcoin. And what we have seen is if you go back to the beginning of the year, Bitcoin was up, I don't know, 70%, 100%, 135%. And you can see Marathon was up at one point roughly 7x. Now, what you're going to find is that um, Bitcoin miners are heavily um, have a high beta relative to the price of Bitcoin. So, if Bitcoin moves high, Marathon Digital is going to move higher. We've seen since the Bitcoin spot ETFs in the U.S., we had a roughly a 10% decline in Bitcoin, and as you can see from the recent highs of say $30, we had a low of $14. So, Bitcoin stock was down, I guess 25%, and as you can see, Marathon Digital was down roughly 50% at one point. But we've seen the bounce back. That's due to a grayscale selling pressure decreasing, while uh, Van Eck and BlackRock has been steadily increasing. All right, so where's price heading next? Well, I've been talking about this weekly level $8, and that was a massive opportunity to get long, and that served the setup very well. As we had a push to the $30 level, we had a decline, and if you look at the daily chart, price came back nearly to this support resistance band at $14, and as we can see, price is currently at $18.52. All right, so in the news, Marathon Digital, a leading Bitcoin mining company, has seen its stock price surge to roughly $27 per share to start the year, only to dive below 15 recently at its lows. However, um, this article is coming from last week, so we had a day late last week where the stock was up 11%, um, and so it's reignited interest around the name, as well as it still is a play on crypto overall, although you do have the Bitcoin spot ETFs to play in as well. Bitcoin has surged more than 5%, providing higher leverage companies dependent on the price of Bitcoin with much more larger upside moves. And that's what I was saying. Relative to Bitcoin, the mining stock in particular, Marathon Digital has a very high beta. Interest in building around Marathon Digital as a way to play the potential short squeeze in the crypto sector. With more than 20% of the company's float currently sold short, the ingredients for a squeeze are there, and investors are now seemingly placing their bets. I didn't realize that a large portion of their float was short, so we should definitely see price even move that much higher. As a Bitcoin miner, directional moves in Bitcoin price over various time frames can lead to outsized gains or losses for a company like Marathon. That's mainly because the company's revenue is dominated in Bitcoin, while its debt is dominated in dollars. Thus, the company's balance sheet can see outsized moves when US dollar BTC exchange rate changes significantly. Additionally, last week we had weaker than expected inflation data coming out of the U.S., and that spurred bets that the dollar could weaken, boosting Bitcoin's further value. So let's just break that down a little bit. If inflation is weakening, um, that is good news according to the Fed, in that they don't have to um, control the rise in inflation through interest rates. So if inflation is coming down, that puts less emphasis on the Fed's um, increasing interest rate. And at this point, all the interest rate spikes that we've seen in the last 2 years is finally working. And at some point, there's talk about the Fed's cutting interest rates, and um, you cut the interest rates, you're going to see money flow from U.S. dollar to another currency that may have a higher interest rate. It's all about finding alpha. And in that case, the dollar declines, Bitcoin and is priced in dollars. So a dollar decline means Bitcoin's value goes up, means Marathon Digital goes up as well. All right, so where do we go from here? I'm looking for this gap fill to fill at $22. All right, as the next short-term target. And then from there, I'm looking for price to retest the recent highs. And if we scroll out, I mark that by support resistance. And then from there, I'm expecting price to test $48. And then from there, I'm expecting price to get to that $100 level. So, and then from there, we get a blow off top in Bitcoin in 2025, and we could see Marathon, I don't know, 150-ish. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's focus on price taking out the $22 level first. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, please. Like the video.